We are getting really deep into the esports winter now, where we're seeing lots of orgs and tier one orgs suffering and dropping out of leagues or selling off esports assets and leaving esports scenes. It's everything is going wrong. You know, when money's not flowing, a lot of these companies are cash burning machines. We see that with FaZe. You can see their stock and the recent drama with everything going on with their founders, with OG members, and just all that fighting going on, and their stock price at like less than 50 cents. So it's not good for one of the biggest orgs in the world, and even all the other biggest orgs in the world. No one is really thriving. And talking about FaZe, some of the news came out that Snoop Dogg is leaving the gaming org FaZe Clan effective immediately. So that might be FaZe's biggest loss, right? Snoop Dogg is leaving the clan. Now, you might not even realize that Snoop Dogg was a part of FaZe Clan, that they brought him in. And not only was he a part of it, he was a board member on FaZe. So he had a lot of say over the company, a lot of input in there, and no interest in esports. So that makes sense, right? And apparently, Snoop Dogg here can see he obviously didn't be the greatest board member. You can see this company last month they reported losing $53 million and laid off around 20% of their staff in February. So obviously, FaZe Clan, cash burning machine, and obviously throwing all their money at Snoop Dogg didn't do anything for him. You know, who would have thought, right? Snoop Dogg, obviously not some big esports figure or anything like that. The way that he was talked about is really weird. You see, last year, Kai Henry, FaZe Clan's chief strategy officer, said the company had exciting plans to create content together in the metaverse with Snoop Dogg. That should have been probably a pretty telltale sign that this wasn't going to work, and it was just throwing money at a celebrity to try and make the FaZe logo look better. I don't know what their exact plan was, but you might think Snoop Dogg, okay, so they paid him a ton of money, gave him a bunch of shares and a board seat. They must have made tons of video and content with him to use him to his fullest potential. And that is where you would be wrong. Snoop Dogg was only in one FaZe video, the one that announced him joining FaZe. So, you know, he was in one video. He got tons of money from FaZe for being a part of it. He got tons of shares. He got a board seat. His son got tons of shares and money, and they made one video. So that's probably the biggest heist in esports right now is Snoop Dogg running FaZe Clan for millions of dollars. That's old news, right? We know FaZe Clan was going down. They're in risk of being delisted or taking themselves private again. So they're just all over the place, and we've been following that for a while. But TSM is already here in some hot water too, saying reportedly pulling out of several titles as their CEO says it's committed to esports. And one of the major things that they're considering selling is their LCS spot. You can see the journal reported TSM was considering selling its slot in North America's franchise LCS league, which has competed since the league's creation in 2013. So they're on like a decade of owning this spot, running in this league, and they're thinking about selling it, which is crazy. They're an OG in League of Legends. They're one of the most prominent teams and like most winningest teams, or everyone knows TSM in League, and they're considering selling it to probably recoup some sort of money. They might not see a future there. You can see his tweet too talked about kind of the stuff. This is the CEO and founder of TSM saying that they're committed to esports. They're planning to enter CSGO sometime later this year, which is a larger investment than all of the games we've left combined. TSM is always evaluating what esport ecosystems are best to invest in and will continue to enter and exit games. So apparently moving to CSGO, which can be a huge money pit. LCS and League of Legends is also a big money pit. Like player salaries are tons of money. Fielding a roster can be in the millions of dollars. So it's absolutely insane what how much money you might have to put out for this. So maybe that's why they're selling the LCS spot. going to CSGO or planning to. Obviously, CSGO 2 was announced, so that's a big thing that people are hyped about. And maybe they're trying to go in there and think CSGO will grow bigger than League of Legends, which could be the case, right? The League of Legends number, the LCS numbers at least, are not very good. And keeping in the LCS sphere, we also have one of the biggest players in LCS 2 is CLG, Counter Logic Gaming. These guys are right having problems as well in some hot water. They are reportedly to sell their esports brand, and mass layoffs to soon follow. So these guys are, going to sell everything. I think MSG, Madison Square Garden, owns CLG, and they're going to sell the whole thing. They're getting rid of CLG, trying to sell off their assets and then abandoning esports, kind of like the Guard. Kind of sounds like that situation. You can see that CLG will reportedly be shutting down all operations as an esport organization as company-wide layoffs are set to begin very soon. So obviously, going crazy times. These are people like, I think CLG's been in LCS as long as TSM, so like a decade, and they're not making it work. This decade-long stint of LCS, when LCS was super popular, there was tons of views, money had to be flowing somewhere, and to not make money, I think, is a real bad look for esports or people on the outside looking at esports, outside investors who might want to get into this are seeing this saying, these guys did this for a decade and they couldn't make it work. So it's probably going to scare a lot of outside investors off. But in terms of CLG, they'll maintain their 2023 LCS team throughout the summer. Well, the sale gets finalized throughout the year, and it's apparently NRG that is front running the purchase to CLG as well as their LCS slot. And there's a lot of talk about that because NRG is supposedly not super financially stable. So people are wondering, how are they going to buy this? What are they really doing? A lot of crazy stuff going on in esports. A lot of these orgs who have been burning cash for the last decade when cash was flowing, when it's not flowing, obviously problems come up and things get abandoned. The Guard sold off, CLG is selling off, TSM is selling off their teams in esports and possibly their LCS spot, which they've been in since the inception. You got things like FaZe, the biggest esports brand in the world, falling off. So it's absolutely crazy how bad this esports winter is getting, and it's going to be interesting to see who makes it out on the other side. What are the orgs that come out on the other side on top of this? And since a lot of this revolves around the LCS, we can take a look at some of these viewership numbers because that's going to be what people look at, right? And we can go back to 2020. I'm not going to go back to 2013. We'll look at the last few years. You can kind of see the trend. You can see peak viewers, 387K, average viewers, 183K. Pretty good, for an esports league. These are the spring 2020 split. It's not like championship stuff, but pretty good viewership there. You go to the next year, the same spring, peak viewership goes up a little bit, average viewership goes down a little bit. Nothing crazy though, still pretty good. You go to 2022 and you start to see the changing going on here. Peak viewers 387, okay, still good there, but average viewers plummeting to 123,000, and come up to this year, you could see peak viewers 182,000, average viewers 103,000. So obviously the trend of the LCS is in the wrong direction. Viewership is going down. Peak viewership is going down. People might not be as interested in watching it. I think like the LEC or the Korean leagues and are doing pretty well. I think those ones are doing well in viewership numbers, but the LCS, not so much. So obviously these are problems. And if you're invested in this, if you're an org in these leagues, then you got to think, is it worth staying in this league, or is it worth selling your spot and moving to a different league like Counter-Strike with CSGO coming out, maybe Valorant? You have to think about where you're going to put your brand to try and succeed. But I doubt this esports winter is anywhere near over. It's probably just getting started realistically. We'll see the tier ones are getting affected. TSM, who is supposedly profitable and had like really good runs. They had the FTX deal, which everyone thought was maybe problematic for them. But apparently they're still profitable. They say they are after that at least. So we'll see, how they go forward if they maintain profitability and maintain in the esports space in like big games, or teams like 100 Thieves might actually be the new model people go after, which I agree with 100 Thieves model. I think it's the best one. Fielding your esports rosters, but building out your company in a way where you have products to sell to people. 100 Thieves has their merch, which everyone called them a hoodie org in the beginning, but now that's something that's keeping them afloat and allowing them not to bail on esports. They got High Grounds, they got Juvie, they've got all these different products geared towards gamers that can bring in revenue for them. I think that's the model a lot of these orgs are going to have to go down, because how else are you going to make money as an esports org? We'll see who prevails. We'll see what orgs make it through this winter and what the shape up's going to look like. Maybe a lot of content creator orgs make it into the tier 1 scene and into these leagues and stuff. That could end up happening, and it would be kind of cool to see that. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.